So, what up, YouTube? What up, Twitch chat? Hope everybody's having an awesome afternoon. We are playing through some Grixis Shadow. I have not played Shadow since like a Jun Shadow League in mid-December that I think is up on YouTube somewhere. But we got a donation request to jam through a little bit. So, we're going to give it a shot. We took a lot of inspiration from this list from Pedro and the Death Shadow channel of the modern Metacord on Discord. And the idea for the list here, obviously, you got your Shadow, Street Wraith, Thoughtseize Core, Nethergoyf, Psychic Frog as additional threats. Kaito is a good follow-up for some of the removal matchups. Fatal Push, Dismember, typical like Shadow interaction. We went a little bit more in the Red Splash, adding in some copies of Unholy Heat and Temur Battle Rage because we here are gluttons for punishment and refuse to play a Shadow list without Temur Battle Rage if we can help it. So that's where we're going there. Sideboard, Mystical Disputes, Consign to Memory, Stern Scolding, like staple across all blue decks in Modern. 3 copies of Pyroclasm to hopefully help fight against the Energy Menace, 2 Surgical Extraction for the combo decks, and a Grafdigger's Cage, which I pulled from Pedro's list. No idea how it's going to play out, but I'm interested to see. So we'll go ahead and hop in and, see what happens. Modern League. Hiding up top. Pedro was right. Sometimes. If you make a YouTube video, tell them I was right. Well, we got to do well before I can say you were right. But we did win a die roll, and that's more than I can say out of Oculus today. So that's cool. Let's evaluate our opening hand. We do have some Nethergoyfs. We have a stub. We've got Preordainer Thoughtseize to get a sorcerer in the yard. Street Wraith to get a creature. So pretty inclined to keep in the blind. We could be up against energy. We are not up against energy. So Devourer of Destiny gets revealed. That makes me want to get out on the front foot as aggressively as I can. So I'm probably playing out this Nethergoyf turn 1. I would love to find more mana of some sort. So we're probably going to have to start with Preordain on 2 to see about finding another land. But if we can get this Nethergoyf big enough to like attack through a what's it called? Sowing Myco spawn, then we can get some pretty good pressure pretty aggressively. We do potentially have Stubborn Denial to fight over Kozilek's command if we're able to find more lands. Had to ban energy in standard. They did have to ban energy in standard. Attune with Aether and Rogue Refiner. Too good. A 3 mana, 3/2, no evasion that ETB draws a card. Banned in standard. Ooh, we got an Ugin's Labyrinth and an Eldrazi Temple to exile. So that could mean that they've got like another soul land here. Finding another land is huge. Finding a fetch land is also really nice. So I think I'm going to start off with the Thoughtseize. Our Blood Crypt just in case. Thoughtseize to grow our Nethergoyf before combat. And I'm probably going to end up just jamming a second Nethergoyf here. They do have a Rumble. They do have a Kozilek's command. So if I just take the Kozilek's command, play out the second Nethergoyf, they can't Rumble this next turn, and I might have a chance to turn the corner before anything too scary happens. If I leave them the Kozilek's command, then I have to hold up Stubborn Denial on their turn to try to get the Force Spike. And I don't think that's something I'm particularly interested in doing. So let's get in with our Nethergoyf. Lay out the backup. Say go. Hopefully opponent does something nice, like just play a tapped commercial district instead of going for... Well, they found the green source untapped for the Rumble. Little unfortunate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they do not currently have the mana needed to cast a World Breaker next turn. Maybe we can get enough of a clock going. Need to find something like a bobble off the top. They kept Sanctum of Ugin. Labyrinth is gone. They've got Commercial District, World Breaker, Emrakul, Sanctum of Ugin. I'm missing one. Oh, another Ugin's Lab. That's what it is. So let's fetch and shock. Go get a Steam Vents. Try to find a Teamer Battle Rage pretty aggressively. Try to find a Mishra's Bauble to grow the Nethergoyfs. I don't mind that. So if I Thoughtseize, take the World Breaker, they add creature to the yard, and that means that they can... No, 1, 2, 3, 4 off the new lab, 5, 6. They cannot Emrakul next turn if I take the World Breaker. And I kind of think I want to set up like going for a Sink into Stupor on this Emrakul the turn they cast that and get like a free turn there. Or I could just take the World Breaker. Yeah, take the World Breaker. Get a threat down. Try to Sink into Stupor the Emrakul next turn. Mike, you're a World Breaker. Heartbreaker. And it chooses not to block. We're going to hope that you don't top deck a Kozilek's command, which now that I've spoken it into existence, it is what it is. We know 4 of their 5. We do not know their unknown off the top. If the opponent passes back to us, we've got Sink into Stupor on the Eldrazi spawn is lethal. They can do something like Ugin's Lab. I was going to say Ugin's Lab, get rid of the Emrakul, kick a Myco spawn, take out a land, put a blocker into play. But they know I kept something on top. So I think I just... Do I even have to go for this? Like, what's the worst case scenario if I don't go for it? If I just hit them for 6? Like, they play some cast trigger Eldrazi, I sink into Stupor. But we're not playing to not go for it, right? Like, if they had a Kozilek's command off the top, then they would have just exiled one of my Goyfs or like nuked my yard or something right then and there. Nice. On to game number 2 with our extremely magnified sideboard. So many cards. Surgicals coming in, consigned to memory coming in. That's about all I care about. Stuff that is coming out. Fatal Push, pretty easy auto cut. Some number of Unholy Heats or Dismember. I think Unholy Heat gets a little bit of a nod because I saw Karn the Great Creator. So I'd rather leave in a little extra head for that than leaving the Dismember on the off chance that I dismember my own guy and throw a shadow. Kaito's probably not the greatest here, but I think it's better than a push or a dismember. Could bring in bad mana leak. We got 4 consigns. We're fine. My name is Mike Freak, and I'm here to go for it. Yeah. More often than I care to admit. I think this is going to be a mulligan. No threat, no consign, no Thoughtseize. We've got a bunch of hands we can see that are better than this. Unholy Heat, which is like one of the cards you're pretty wanting to cut. All in all, just not a very impactful 7. Better. Throw back a Bauble. Yep. I do think that most all of these like Dimir decks with Shadow need some number of force negation. And I kind of hate that this list doesn't have any. It is what it is. I need to update the Moxfield link. Give me 1 second and I can do that. I care about Nethergoyf, but I do want the Street Wraith. Let us new deck. EDS, create, edit. And saved as a text file. Again, I don't know why Moxfield is so nitpicky about things being text files. So edit, command, deck, bam, edit, command, deck list. Now, spawn token. What do we flip over from Rumble? We saw Emrakul, Utopia Sprawl, Eldrazi Temple, Devourers. They got back a Devourer. I'm a little worried that my opponent could have a copy of Sowing Myco Spawn and be able to take out like my Watery Grave. I'm going to hope that's not the case. Ah, yes, the 4-mana turn 2, what everyone loves about Modern. Ugin's Labyrinth. I'm really surprised with like the design team for looking at something like Ugin's Labyrinth and not saying, oh, it should only make double colorless for Eldrazi spells. It should be like Eldrazi Temple, but fixed. Like you don't need a more broken Eldrazi Temple. Or Utopia Sprawls. Sprawls on sprawls on sprawls. No follow-up. Not that we have got a follow-up. We really need to hit that third land. Do have to decide if I am jamming the frog or holding up the Force Spike stub. So they had mana available, didn't cast something like a Kozilek's Command. I assume they don't have one. What's the worst case scenario? They got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, 9, 10, 11, 12. So any land drop lets them Emrakul. If they do Emrakul, I don't think there's anything I can do to survive that. So I think I'm going to try to make my board a little bit better into like Devourer, which seems to be the route that they are going with here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any land drop lets them Devourer. Especially that land drop. Kind of looks like they're just going to hard cast one. Which all in all, I think is like kind of a win for me. This is the worst thing I got to deal with. Frog is gone. Frog is dead. Long live Frog. Land. Close. They're just follow the pattern, play a frog, see what happens. Maybe opponent decides to like attack back with their Devourer and then play a post-combat Devourer and take out something. That would be best case scenario. But I think if they cast an Emrakul, I'm probably just going to end up scooping here. All right. Fly a frog. Get to attacking. I might discard some stuff to the frog. Like, I know I'm going to discard the Kaito. I don't think I'm going to discard the Undercity Sewers yet. Because I don't hate the idea of keeping it to try to get another blue source next turn. But at the same time, if I can get this frog ferocious, then that at least gives me a way to interact with Stubborn Denial. And it might be worth it because I don't know how much good Undercity Sewers is doing for me. I guess we can wait and see what we draw. Like, I would rather find a fetch land here. This kind of feels like they've got something. I don't know what they have that they would be potentially against casting. I'll just pass here. Hold up, double discard like the city or the Undercity and this preordained frog to get ferocious for stub while getting to keep Battle Rage in hand. And discards a Ghost Quarter. Ironically, would have been pretty good against this with this TBR in hand. Some Myco spawn. Definitely not best case scenario for us. Punished for not playing out like the preordain or the Undercity last turn. Sure. I guess it does still just mean that like I can rip a untapped land off the top and have a pretty good chance of getting lethal. Show me an untapped land. The synergies are not quite coming together here. I guess if I hit like a Street Wraith off this Undercity, so if I bend the Nethergoyf, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 CMC, so I can bestow the Phoenix. I don't think that does enough for me. I think I would rather just go discard to the frog, fly the frog. But maybe that's a little short-minded. Maybe I'm better off just passing, seeing what happens, and then going for a lethal turn next turn, assuming I can find a way to get another land or like lose a little more life, get some more cards for Phoenix. It is very ironic that this is another situation between Oculus and here that Undercity Sewers coming into play tapped has not been particularly welcoming. What is this? Okay. Assassin, what's up? Arn the Great Creator. What are you going to get off of your Karn? If they get like an ensnaring bridge, I would be ecstatic. EE. Are they going to EE go after the shadows, or are they going to EE go after the frogs? Going after the frog. Working on the girlfriend's brakes. I don't know if that's an innuendo, but I hope it's just car maintenance. But Alright. Find me a fetch land. Or a Street Wraith into a fetch land. Front brake for metal on metal. Just normal wear and tear and just never noticed it. That's kind of wild if that's the case. Alright. Really good draw. Should be able to piece together a lethal line here. Let's get Steam Vents. Cast our Preordain. No. If I go for a shadow, I cannot battle rage. So am I supposed to just discard to the frog, or am I supposed to go for the Preordain looking for a Street Wraith? At the moment, it's pretty easy, just like block. And I can't kill. So I would like to see if there's a way I can form lethal regardless of the blocks. And I think the only way to do that is to find a Street Wraith off of Preordain. Right now, I can discard everything but the Phoenix and bestow it, but that's still not lethal. Yeah. I guess kind of the fine part about this is I can just attack like the frog at Karn, shadows at them. I guess they still just pop the EE. Let's just hit a Street Wraith and make life easier. I'd love to be able to like cycle Street Wraith, grow Shadow. Destined to have a consigned memory. I was going to say cycle Street Wraith, grow Shadow, be able to bestow and hold up Stubborn Denial. But at the same time, I guess they are pretty incentivized to like not block with the Devourer, so they can potentially have lethal on the backswing. Hold, brothers. So we're going to start with discard a card to the Psychic Frog to try to incentivize them cracking the engineered explosives. Technically, we could still lose to a Kozilek's command. Again, we're not here to play around stuff. But we can still lose to a Kozilek's command. In a perfect world, I would like to pass priority and see if they would pop the EE, tap themselves off of Kozilek's command. I would get priority back and be able to battle rage the Shadow. But there's a chance right here that they just say, well, I don't care about Karn dying. I just don't want to die to you, so I'll just let you have priority first. And then I have to just go to damage if I pass priority. So it is a risk reward scenario. I don't think that they would let me kill the Karn here because they really don't have anything else going on. So I think if I pass priority, there's a high likelihood that my opponent would blow up the EE. And I think in paper, you can sell this a whole lot better by doing something like attack the Karn, attack them. They go to block, and you just say, like, go to damage or anything before damage. Pop the EE, make a subtle gesture, and see if they pop the EE, and you get to tap them off. Opponent hit us with the ooh, nice, well played. I appreciate a Teamer Battle Rage appreciator. And we also get to add a TBR kill to the count. So 1-0 for Grixis Shadow. Let's see what we got for round number 2. No one plays around TBR. TBR is a relic of Modern's past. that a lot of these young guns don't know anymore. Here I go, buy this Kaito to try this deck. I don't know how good the Kaito is yet. I will say I've played Kaito in some Oculus builds, and I really liked it against things like the Demir Mirror or Jun Saga decks that are a little bit slower and grindier. I don't know if it's great in the current meta. I have not tried it in this Shadow Shell, but that's why we're giving it a shot. So don't say I told you it was a necessity and you had to have it. But I have enjoyed it in other matchups in Oculus. And I have it on very good authority from some guy I saw talking about it in Discord one time, that apparently Kaito has been really good into the black-white blink matchup. I don't have any evidence for this myself. I have not seen Kaito against black-white, but they claimed it. I'm here to pass along the sentiment. Usually when it comes to card suggestions, I nod and agree until I have a chance to actually give them a shot. Why is my mic cable all wonky? All right. Opponent, please come back. Need this match. Opponent is on the play. They've kept a 7-card hand. We've got a 3-lander, which is a little rough, but we do have Nethergoyf. Preordained, so I think I'm going to give it a shot. Got some draw filtering going on here. Well, not a great start for the home team. It got better. It got better. Definitely don't want that. So we are going to take the opportunity to just go ahead and fatal push this Tamiyo. I am going to do it on their upkeep just so they can't force a negation me. And if they respond with a brainstorm, I just kind of say, so be it. Do what we draw. Fatal push the Tamiyo. Please don't brainstorm. Please don't brainstorm. Thundering Falls. All right. No! Stop it. What is the purpose of me killing a Tamiyo if you just have another Tamiyo? Ah, it's twin. I see. So they can flip Tamiyo next turn if I leave them with Preordain, but this Thoughtseize grows my Nethergoyf to a 4/5. So I think I'm just going to take the Preordain, get down the Nethergoyf, pass it over, and see if like next turn we can have a pretty good rollout of Preordain plus second Nethergoyf plus whatever. And I think I'm just going to do this off basic Swamp. I don't know if they play Blood Moon or Flood Moon, but I might as well like play around it because it's kind of free here. It showed me a fetch land that I did not know about. Do love to see that. Not entirely sure why we're main phase making this fetch, but each their own. All right. We'll go for the preordained first in case I happen to rip into a street wraith and can grow this nethergoy. It's like he plans it. I would like both of those. They've got a blind draw coming off the top. I'm a little bit scared of Wrath the Skies. So I don't think I want to overcommit and just throw all of my threats out there. But I will play out the Shadow here because I can grow it out of discharge range. And with this other fetch land that I've got available, I can present lethal next turn. Blue is correct. All right, opponent, I want you to fetch shock, cast Splinter Twin, targeting Tamiyo, and then tap Tamiyo to make another Tamiyo. That's it. Easy sequence. Back on the Shadow. I got a donation request, so we in here. A discharge. You got a counterspell, you got a counterspell, but I'm going to try to save this Shadow. It looks like our efforts were successful. Yay. Shadow's best friend in the world, red base damage removal. Now, what am I sideboarding against Splinter Twin? I guess I got 3 Stern Scoldings and some Mystical Disputes. Those all seem really good. Pyroclasm's not killing much. Grafdigger's Cage. I guess if they've got Snapcaster Mage could be okay. Surgical's okay, but as much as I hate to say it, sorry out there for all the Splinter Twin fans. I cannot say I respect Splinter Twin combo just yet. So they're going to have to prove to me that they're doing some justice out there before I start boarding in Surgical. Board out of Thoughtseize. If you pitched all your hand to Frog the turn before EE, could have bestowed from yard for lethal. Are you talking about the Eldrazi matchup? It wouldn't have been lethal. I would have ditched my whole hand, bestowed up a Shadow, and it would have been an 8-8 swinging in instead of a 10-10. They were at 10. And I would have given up my entire hand to do so. Bestowed Frog. I couldn't discard. If I discarded everything to bestow, I would have had to discard the. Frog was a 2/3, ditch 5 up to 7, 8, 9. So it still would have been 1, or they still would have been at 1, right? Frog was a 2/3. I ditch 5. It goes to a 7/8. I bestow the Phoenix. It goes to a 9/10. Hit them down to 1. Where's my math off? We're going to play out the Nethergoyf here. Go for a little bit of a a bait and switch. I don't think it's off. Maybe I was off. I'll go back and double check it at some point. But I'm pretty positive they were not at 10. Frog was a 2, and I didn't have a 2-turn lethal, or I didn't have a lethal attack that turn, regardless of what I did. If I had played out the Undercity Sewers the turn before, I think I would have had a potential lethal line. But because I could have preordained and possibly found a fetch land to attack with the shadows, but because I didn't play out the Undercity Sewers, that went out the window. I think they're on counterspell here. Like, I kind of want to jam the frog. But if I'm going to go for a frog jam, I think I want a Street Wraith first. See what I draw into. Also grows another Netherglyph. That's a lot of shadows. Yeah. Well, I'm probably going double shadow here. Like, it kind of sucks that they can hit one with a removal spell, but with double or with a basic island here, it means they can probably only hit one of them. It's less mana efficient, but it doesn't play into something like Counterspell as badly or Spell Snare. Gonna get a Surveil land. That's really good for me. So maybe they did have a counterspell. But the fact that they're getting a non-blue Surveil land might lead me to believe that they either have like a Meticulous Archive in hand already. Because typically if you've got something like counterspell in hand and you go and get a Surveil land or a shock land, you're more likely to get a blue source because you've got the counterspell. You want to have access to it with as few lands as possible. Okay. I kind of didn't think they would be on Wrath of the Skies since they showed me Cameo Game 1, but clearly that was wishful thinking. Ooh. The old Kaito, eh? Shadow gaming, let's go. Sometimes you need a little death shadow in your life just to give you some perspective back. Keep a preordain. I eagerly await the basically forced upon you 8 shadow video you'll have to do with the last ride. I've had some ideas for a last ride build, like a Jun Shadow build with last ride, because I do think the card pairs really well with like being creature heavy and Teamer Battle Rage, and those are kind of staples of Jund. We'll see how it ends up playing out, but possibility. let's go get an Undercity. Wait till your Shadow hops into the last ride. Shadow be cruising down the street. Don't want another frog. I kind of want to find a land for Kaito plus Shadow. Okay, let's think about this. I want to get Kaito down. I do want the draw pretty badly. So I think I am going to hit with the frog and then Kaito in the damage step. So I can see what I draw and then make a decision on Kaito. Like if I'd found a stubborn denial, I'm probably more likely to keep the Kaito in hand and go for like Thoughtseize, Shadow, hold up stub. All right, go. Why is that supercar legend? No idea. It makes zero sense to me whatsoever to make that thing a legend. All right, I've given you free reign to Splinter Twin right now. Do the thing. I know you want to. Bolt in the springs. I don't know if this tells me anything. Teferi, okay. Fun little fact about Kaito is it does have an ability on it that lets you get an emblem to buff all of your ninjas. So I can start like attacking down the Teferi without worrying of it bouncing something. I wish I could get the extra damage to actually kill it, but here we are. Go for the Thoughtseize because I'm not worried about Splinter Twin here. And if they want to counterspell it, I'll just play out a threat and say go. I guess they could have a land and a Wrath of Skies. No, does Wrath of Skies hit Planeswalkers? Does not. So they can Wrath the Skies all they want, and I keep my Kaito. Nice. All right. Second mystical dispute. What do we got? You're right. If they Wrath off this, they can hit the Kaito. And that looks like what they're doing. Yep. Boo. Boo. So am I missing something about the construction of the team or of the Jeskai list at the moment? Because I saw Tamio and then saw Splinter Twin game one, and now it's Teferi, Wrath the Skies, expressive iteration. Is that standard, or is this like an out of left field kind of list situation? I think I'm just going to attack both at Teferi. My hand kind of hinges on getting it off the board. Nah, that's modern. Fair. Seaver Exarch does not have flying. I can hopefully take out Teferi here. Nice. Okay. So now if they go for Splinter Twin, I can bad mana leak it and then have backup Dispute. They also don't have double red. This could be dicier than I thought, because I'm running into the issue of if they have to hit another land for Splinter Twin anyway, and I fight over that when they just have the land drop and they pay for it, I can't Mystical Dispute again. I can just do that, I guess. Teferi Boo. Teferi Boo indeed. Teferi out here being a big jerk face. No. Opponent, you are a saint and a half. I don't know how to tell you I love you through a computer, but thank you for getting a spell out of hand instead of just killing or just paying for the Mystical Dispute. Nethergoyf. Right. Hiya. Not much I can do, so might as well attack. Play out this Tarmogoyf or Nethergoyf and say go, and if they got the Splinter Twin, they got it. Or if they got the red land for Splinter Twin. Oh no! Oh no! Look, tell me when it's over. Also, Steven, thank you so much for the 29 months. Greatly appreciate it. Welcome back to the subscribers. They keep a card on top. 2 top, 0 bottom. Are we dead? Is this a wrath? Is in fact a wrath. An uncounterable wrath, as some might say. Yes. Justice. Okay. So what do we get rid of to make this Phoenix cheap? We can get rid of an instant, a sorcery, creature. We've got one artifact, one planeswalker, so we get rid of. I don't think it matters. Bobble. And then we bestow our little Nether Goyfy friend with a Street Wraith and something else that does not cause us to lose card types. Ah! Justice. Justice in the world. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Detectives Phoenix, that I doubted you. Opponent's list makes no sense. You're saying it doesn't make sense to have Splinter Twin combo and Teferi in your, or not Teferi, Splinter Twin combo and Wrath of the Skies in your Tamiyo Supreme Verdict deck, or Tamiyo and Splinter Twin in your Supreme Verdict Wrath of the Skies deck. There we go. Need a keepable hand. Kaito, throwback. Am I throwing back Frog here, or am I throwing back Stub? We here to high roll. We are here to high roll. Never didn't have it. Are you back on Death Shadow for Portland? I play one league with the deck. Everybody's like, oh, Shadow's back. Back on Shadow. I got a donation request to play Shadow. So that's where we are, at least for this league. I'll figure out anything past this league after this league. But I'm definitely not registering for Shadow, or registering Shadow for anything right this second. Who's the hero who donated? I don't know if I'm supposed to get. Wait, no, the donation was public. Yeah, it was Zeriak, who I'm pretty sure like immediately left to go take a nap. Comment literally, I was saying something about I can't imagine running TBR right now, and the comment was literally, too late, you're running TBR Shadow. Here's a league donation. Terry the Mill guy, yeah. That's the one. What's the worst thing that happens if I block this Thalia? Can't think of much outside of just normal exile-based removal that they could have anyway. Yeah. Mutagenic growth incoming. A2 life and a mana to mutagenic growth your Thalia. Alright, well. It's been real, it's been fun, but it ain't been real fun. What are you playing? Why do you have Thalia in your Ephemerate deck? Sure. Says the guy who got. Fair enough, you know. Says the guy who's about to get got by another Solitude here. Opponent's gaming and I respect it. Malira, hold up. What does this do? Malira, the Living Cure. Green and a white. If you would get one or more poison counters, instead you get one poison counter and you can't get additional poison counters this turn. Exile Malira, the Living Cure. Choose another target creature or artifact. When it's put into a graveyard this turn, return that card to the battlefield under its opponent's control. That is text on a Magic card. Now, unfortunately, I do have to start planning on how I don't die here. I don't want to Fatal Push to Flicker Wisp because then they just Malira shenanigans it. I could go for Fatal Push on their turn. So if they return the Flicker Wisp, I'm not just dead to it. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can't shock. I guess I could shock and attack with the Shadow. I can just attack as is. I need to set up lethal next turn if possible. Return that card. It's put into the graveyard this turn. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it comes back right away. If I shock into 6, attack with Shadow for 7, put them down to 13, bobble on their upkeep. See something. I think what's probably going to end up happening is I bobble them, see whatever, push the Flicker Wisp, and they're going to be able to get it back untapped and have a blocker when I try to go back for lethal. And that's going to kind of mess me up. So maybe I just need to go Shadow attack, nothing else. And I can push the Malira. Like, what if they block Malira, Witch Enchanter? I guess that's kind of fine. We'll pass with push. And it draws dead. Come on, right click attack all. Wait, no, right click attack all is kind of rough for me because whatever I target with removal, they can just get back with Malira, and that gives them another blocker. So we're going to Fatal Push Malira. Okay. Okay. If I bobble first, gets me an extra point on the Tarmogoyf. I can be informed of what they're drawing into. Delirium doesn't really matter with a bunch of X1s. Archon off the top. So I do need to attack. If I just attack with both, does that give me most chances of winning? If they don't block, then I can Unholy Heat the Flicker Wisp and like inside of combat if they declare everything. Yeah, so I'm attacking both. Damn, another opponent thwarting our Inkmoth Nexus win gone. You always got to have that backup. Like Shadow Battle Rage, Inkmoth Nexus beats over a 10 turn period. A and B. So now we pass through, they get Archon. I do have to kill the Flicker Wisp. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. This is fine. Go for lethal, I assume. Is there any reason for them to just attack with Flicker Wisp here? I guess you're dead to removal spell or double removal spell. But now you don't have lethal on your next attack, which is a pretty big deal when I am attacking in for potential lethal. Archon works well with Ephemerate. I can neither confirm nor deny the statement in question. Does it work well with Ephemerate? All right, solitude me. Solitude me like one of your French girls. Yay. Okay, green-white taxes with Malira. Green-white taxes with Malira. Green-white taxes. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. So it does nothing against anything getting flickered. Got some Wraiths. Sanctifier on Vec is a card I do want on my radar post board. So Teamer Battle Rage I do think has like a nice role of potentially giving me attacks through Sanctifier. Obviously not a given, but I don't want to cut both of them if I do end up deciding to shave one. They showed Flicker Wisp. I don't care about Witch Enchanter. Solitude. I'd assume Aether Vial. So maybe I want like a couple consigns, but not all of them. Cut Stub. Board out a Wraith back for a Thoughtseize. Okay, let's do it. So this is like diet black-white blink is what I'm getting out of it. It's like black-white blink, but instead of playing the good cards, they play Malira. Tanaka, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. I don't believe I want a Street Wraith or a Shadow. I've already got one. Extra ones kind of seem redundant. I do think I will pass the turn holding up this Fatal Push, though. Or am I just playing around Ephemerate by Fatal Pushing now? Nah. If I draw a Pyroclasm, it might change up some decision making. They could just play a 2-drop like a Thalia here, or 2-drop like a White Orchid Phantom. Or yeah, we're not going to talk about that Modern Challenge. Didn't happen. Never saw it. Modern Challenge? What Modern Challenge? Played Modern in my life. But realistically, I ran into Boros back to back and had like 3 or 4 games on the draw with Undercity Sewers being my only black source, and it did not feel good. All right, so if this is another attempt at going for the whole, like, what's it called, Solitude line, then so be it. I'll let them go down 2 cards to exile my frog again. I'll go down 2 cards to get 2 cards out of their hand. We just suck at Magic, bro. I've been saying that for years. I'm terrible at this game. Yeah. Solitude down, another Giver down. They want to Ephemerate. That's cool with me. Doesn't look like it. Like a Wisp. I'm going to do that one. Okay with you, opponent? I'm going to do that one. Go. Not letting the counter resolve against Shadow SMH. That 1 extra life gain. Checkmate. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Non-basic lands enter tapped. I literally forgot that I was at 13 life. Okay, it's fine. not really fine. It's whatever. Sure. It's been a while since I've played this deck. We're just gonna leave it at that. Player can't cast more than one spell. So I get one spell regardless of whether it is Shadow or Preordain. And cast a Shadow now. Opponent has decided they would like to race. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Do need to get something going here. That one. Push. Not a push. We would have liked to push, but we are clearly not the best Shadow players ever, so. Yep. What do you got? Do you have another threat? So if I preordain, I can't cast a spell for lethal. I can attack here, force the chomp, preordain. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I can cast something at least. Is their last card an ephemerate? And can't cast those, so let's go to game 3. Unfortunate that we finally found an opponent that can take a game off the Shadow Menace. We didn't think it was possible. We didn't think they had the technology, but clearly they're out there. I don't think I want to change up much. They are really heavy on the White Orchid Phantom plan. So I just need to be careful about like not getting my red mana until I need it. Love to play first. Nope. Yep. This also feels like the kind of game that I'm going to find out here in game 3 that they've got Aether Vial in their deck when they have one on turn 1. And it's going to be a very depressing time. If we had thought about Vile a little bit more, maybe we could have added something to the sideboard to help combat Vile. I know Zeriak's list they sent over initially had a Molten Collapse in it, which this is not it. I don't think I still have the list up anywhere. Dang it. Good throwback Sync. Pretty expensive. Probably not casting it around Thalia. I kind of want to keep the extra red land. How did I know? How did I know? Game 3, we were going to find out they really did have Aether Vial. All right. I need you to put in some work, Stretch. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for like 5 attacks. Solitude, Ephemerate right off the rip. Yep. I don't plan to sink into Super the Aether Vial, but if it gets to the end of my opponent's turn, I might just like force them to use it and let me untap into a Pyroclasm. Unless they want to be okay with not being mana efficient, in which case, well then. That is a Leonin Arbiter. What year is it? It is the year of our Lord. Do they have another Arbiter? Is it? Okay. If they do, we get to introduce you to a very fun and exciting, stupid as shit interaction on Magic Online that I hate with all passion. Leonin Arbiter is a special action. You do not get to like go to resolve your Scalding Tarn and choose to pay or not. You have to manually go to your opponent's side of the board, click on the Leonin Arbiter, and pay the mana. And it is so stupid. I hate everything about it. It's a miserable experience for everybody. There's no reason to have the card work that way. But here we are in 2025 with Leonin Arbiters. Now, back to your regularly scheduled rant. I would like to hopefully end everything you hold dear. Go. Oh, I didn't think we had to deal with Leonin Arbiters. I thought we were done with this. It comes in tapped. Things I didn't know. Okay. slow beatdown begins. I do need to start thinking about if I'm going to bounce this Aether Vial at some point. I'm not doing it right now, but probably not doing it at all. It's probably worth more to just put a counter on this frog at this point than to worry about trying to reset the vial, especially now that they have 5 mana. Like, it probably is a Solitude, but again, I really don't know if I want to waste my sync on it. Maybe it's worth it to make them like actually hard cast the Solitude. You know what? Talk myself into it. You're going to Solitude me. You're going to Solitude me like a man. Casting 5 mana like Richard Garfield intended. All right. I'll play out the Bloodstained Mire, basically just have access to a second blue source in case they blow up this one. No. Bruh. Bruh. Stop it. Just cease and desist on whatever you've got going on. Don't want 2 of these. Probably not, because like the biggest hang up would be a Solitude right now, and push doesn't deal with it. So thank you. Thank you. Deserve that one. Oh man, do we deserve that one? So many white orchid phantoms. So little time. I didn't think I would have to say, like, oh, I need more red sources in my deck with like 4 red cards because I keep getting white orchid phantomed out of the game. Death Shadow calling to its master. I just wasn't sick enough over the last few months. That was the problem. I needed to go get like tetanus or something to get my inner shadow workings going. Oh no, not Holy Shamgar. Last time I played against Holy Shamgar, they were on straight dredge and absolutely wrecked my entire world. Because I don't think I have ever played a Magic deck in my life that had a good time into dredge. We'll see if this is the case this time. No. I wouldn't say better. I wouldn't say worse. Let's see what you've got. I don't really want the stub, but I guess if you've got a Kozilek's command, I should probably take it. If this turns into like soft stub, a Kozilek's command. And I don't think I'm playing out the frog this turn. I know that they can't Kozilek's command on my end step, but I don't really want them like having a Kozilek's command here, untapping with like 6 mana plus the draw. So I think I'm just soft stubbing this regardless. So tired of Kozilek's command. It is such an absurdly good card. And the fact that it doesn't get, I feel it doesn't get as much recognition as it deserves is kind of crazy. Because the card basically does everything. Like, it's cheap interaction. It gets reduced off of the soul lands that they got, like the temples. It exiles, so against like the unearthed decks, that's extremely relevant. Hits graveyards, it's instant speed. All right, I think I'm going frog here. Save this polluted delta. I haven't shown them anything red yet. So if it gets like 2 out of hand, I might just scoop and not show them the red. So maybe they don't play around TBR. Because at the moment we kind of look like a Dimir tempo deck. Two, 4, 5, 6, 7. They could devour. They could world breaker. They could Kozilek's command again. And it's also pretty rough with this card that it doesn't, that everything does target. So I can't like kill my frog in response and blank it. Like every single mode says target. Which probably would have helped out a little bit with the counterplay to it. Not attacking with the Myco spawn. Why are we not attacking with the Myco spawn? I guess Stubborn Denial could very well give away Shadow. So I don't hate that now that I think about it. I was gonna say Spooky at first, but no, I've treated them like Bobble Stub. It's pretty silly that every mode says target, considering they deliberately moved away from that templating for draw spells. And when are you ever going to want to give your opponent a bunch of tokens? Yeah, but they could have said something simple like, and you make X amount of tokens, and that would have been completely reasonable, right? So it wouldn't have said target player, kind of like free to do, adds a little bit of counterplay here, not a ton, but some amount. Mormod's Crypt. We're going to choose not to go ahead and use it. So I think what I want to do is go combat. I should have saved the Undercity. Definitely should have saved the Undercity. Combat everything at you. They pop the crypt before damage. I unholy heat the Karn. I assume they're just going to block the shadow. But like, even if I end up just doing 2 to the Karn, that's fine, since it stops them from tutoring up another card, and that's all I really care about. Pop the crypt. Let this go. Do I want to kill the Karn, or do I want to get the extra 2 damage? I think I'd prefer the damage. So we let this go. Eat the Karn. Take out the Myco spawn. Play our new Shadow. Pass. Well, could be problematic. We know we've got a Street Wraith on top, so yes, it could be worse if they want to cycle Street Wraith. They could like cycle Street Wraith, attack in TBR their own guy. Or in this case, TBR, hold priority, stub it, kill off the shadow. Yeah, so they got the hold priority part. Now, I don't have any way of interacting with this Emrakul, so I don't know what I would find off the top. Probably some commander design decisions so you can do fun things like I'll give my opponent tokens. Maybe, or they just didn't want to create like more cryptic command scenarios where people are unsure of what they can or can't do because of targeting or like Colligan's command. But I feel like that has a lot of interesting decisions with the counterplay to those cards is being able to say, okay, well, if I counter the, or if I remove my spell from the stack and you can't counter it, then you no longer get to draw a card or something. Again, I don't really want Unholy Heat, but not a lot of options. I feel like I should map out this sideboard a little bit more. That moment when you have to decide between car parts and magic cards. I don't even think there's any decision to be made. You get a Black Lotus for the price of a small car. One of those is going up in value. I'll give you a clue. It's not the 1997 Chevy Equinox. All right, well, we have taken down one Eldrazi opponent today. Let's see if we can manage to do another. Love to play first. Why are you not fetch lands? Gotta ship this. Not doing enough. That's better. I do just have a turn 2 frog. Maybe I throw some cards into it and get to battle rage it. I will throw back Bobble. I will say I've got 4 copies of Consigned to Memory in the deck that I would not mind seeing very aggressively. Wait until after this Devourer trigger to sack my Bauble. Double Chrysalis Kozilek's command. That is kind of terrifying. Miracle the Promised End. Also kind of terrifying. Bunch of lands. Slightly less terrifying. Here's a frog. So I need to look for a line with something like hit him with a frog this turn and try to set up a lethal battle rage next turn. If possible. I also need to try to keep Sink into Stupor around unless I draw into a Consign to Memory. Oh, deck, you tease. You absolute tease. You know I need a consign. Completely sure that they've got a copy of Kozilek's Command. I was like, they threw one away in that opening hand. There's no way they don't have another copy. Well, we get to do a bit of a gotcha here. We get to blink out this frog for a Kaito. Save our frog, hit in with the ninja. And maybe like Kaito 0 into a Consign to Memory. That'd be pretty nice. For lucky rubber ducky. But I will play out this Sink into Stupor to make them think about it. Feel like the chances are pretty low it succeeds. But oh, do we go for a surgical on something? Is there anything I care about surgicaling? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 6 card types in the yard. So regardless, I cannot stop an Emrakul. So surgicaling is not doing me a whole mess of good. Yeah, we'll scoop it up there. They kind of get to do everything on us. They can attack Kaito into the Emrakul. They could Battle Rage, surgical something out of our own deck, or like Frog, discard our hand, surgical something. Kaito, yeah, tap target creature, put 2 stun counters on it. So theoretically, they could play out our Psychic Frog, stun it down with Kaito, attack the Kaito into the Emrakul, ditch the rest of the hand, or like ditch Battle Rage preordained, surgical our own Battle Rage or something. They could mess up our turn pretty hard here. But I do hate that we've got 4 sideboard consigned to memories. And I don't think we saw Thoughtseize there either. So not seeing a Thoughtseize, not seeing a consign definitely hurts in the Tron matchup. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Let's see if we can come back and get the 4-1 here. I mean, regardless, we're 3-1 so far, so we're going to end this league positive, which I think is more than I expected to say out of a TBR 2015 Grixis Shadow list. There have been some parts of the league that I do think were pretty cool. I can't just say, oh, it's been a miserable league or anything like that. We have had a non-zero number of TBR kills. Look at Thoughtseize. Here I was thinking they didn't exist. All right, opponent's on a mulligan. I'm going to lead off on bobbling them to try to get an idea of what we're up against. If it's something slower, I might lead with the Nethergoyf with the intention of getting combat going as soon as turn 2. If it's something that I need to interact with sooner, then I'm likely to Thoughtseize here on turn 1 and try to like find another black source and threat plus Thoughtseize on 2. Arid Mesa. So if it's Boros, I'm a little more inclined to Thoughtseize here. It's not, but they've got an Aether Vial, so I'm glad that I did. Take that. They've got another land coming off the top, so we got a little black-white blink action. But it does have a Solitude. Go ahead and take that. And hopefully we can find a third land like right away so that I can get down the Shadow and the Goyf next turn under the Aven Interrupter. Negative. How good would a card like Spellskite be if it had Flash? I don't think I would put it as like substantially better. I think it would be fine, but at the end of the day, like you're still needing something to protect. If you're playing out or Spellskite at sorcery or instant speed, it doesn't change things too much. All right, so we can attack into a potential Aven Interrupter here. think I'm just gonna hold off on the Nether Goyf. I play Cube Commander as well. I do play Cube. I don't really play Commander. I've played Dan once. It's a strange format. But I do play Vintage Cube when it shows up around. That's kind of rude. Now I guess I'm forced into playing the Nether Goyf here. I need a follow-up threat. Let it go. They have a Solitude? Gotta be a Solitude, right? I guess maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to hold up like push plus interrupter plus ephemerate. Okay, so that grows my Nether Goyf. And I'll play out the frog. If a card lets you look at the top of your card of your or at any time, may you look during the resolution of spells. Are you talking about a card like Future Sight? I believe so. Like it literally should just be anytime you want to look, you can look. There's not really a time restriction on it. All right, they've found the Solitude. They've got Ephemerate. Fetch land would be kind of nice. Nope. So if they Ephemerate, I assume they're going to Ephemerate the Solitude on whatever I cast. So we will let them do that and then Fatal Push the Aven Interrupter. The card on top. Let's see what they decide to roll with. Oh boy. We are pretty good at drawing these black spells when we need black mana. Bowmaster is fine. I'll wait till their turn to see if they go for the Ephemerate on it. If they choose to, I'll Fatal Push the Bowmaster. If they choose not to, then I'll still Fatal Push the Bowmaster before they go to their draw step. It's a good draw. That answers the Solitude. Okay. Annoying, but we do have double threat next turn, and we're not dead yet. Need opponent to brick. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't blink my springs there, because that would stop me from double spelling. Unfortunately, I don't believe it's going to matter. They kept another card on top. Yeah. They kind of ripped the lands to get out of the not having Aether Vial, and then just like stopped ripping lands. Needed them to hit a couple more in there in the mid. But we've taken down one taxes-ish player so far. See if we can take down another. We're on the play, so I do like a couple consign on the play. Maybe we do want to go up to the full 4. I'm a little hesitant. Also not entirely sure what all I'm cutting. Yo, lag. Lag, can you chill out? Trim a shadow against the Solitude, Blink Solitude deck. Probably trim Phoenix. Either Phoenix or probably just trim the other Battle Rage. Go from here. And is pretty bad. This is better. Do have a turn 2 Frog. Obviously, I would like to see a Thoughtseize or a Consign or something in the opening hand, but cannot make that happen, unfortunately. Do find a Thoughtseize so we can interact with like a Bailmark before it comes down. It is a turn too late, unfortunately, to deal with this vial. Solitude, Solitude, Ephemerate, Aven Interrupter. So, Double Solitude, Felia, Haven Interrupter, Shadowy Backstreet. Best draw here would probably be a fetch land or like a wraith into something. Potentially give my opponent something that they've got to think about when it comes to whether or not they want a Solitude. Picked up a Recruiter of the Guard, so that could be another Solitude. Definitely the downside of playing an interactive deck is you can't really like yield until you have a play, because Magic Online always sees, oh, you could unholy eat your own shadow. That's a legal play. So we're not going to hold you up from that. All right. Fetch land, nice. Let's see. Try to push some damage if they want to hold off on Solitude. And if they do end up going for the Solitude, I can play out the Frog. Solitude, Aven Interrupter gone. Finally, non-Aether Drift stream. Is that what's going on today? Like all the Aether Drift limited stuff. Review drafts. Fair. I didn't even think about those going on today. I'm going to Unholy Heat in their upkeep. So if they've got a if they've got an Ephemerate, they got to use it on their turn. They can't violin a Felia or violin a Recruiter and go get an Aven Interrupter. They only have 2 lands. Aether Drift does not look like my cup of tea. There's some weird stuff in Aether Drift. I don't really get that like max speed mechanic. I can't imagine a world where anybody looks at that mechanic and says, oh, this is constructed playable. And I get that I'm not on the design team, obviously, but I don't know if there's a purpose to designing like entire like mechanics that aren't constructed playable. Seems like kind of a waste of time and resources, but what do I know? Jeskai Clave Apparition. Take out my frog. Go. But I haven't looked at much past that. Like, I know I've seen that new black-white god. Had a lot of people ask about that one. If it's going to see play in, like, a Murktide shell. Black-white god, besides that, nothing stood out for Modern. You're telling me that Last Ride didn't stand out? The Shadow Mobile? We have begun the recruiter loot part of the matchup. Opponent, it truly does not particularly matter what you get here. I'm pretty well dead to rights to all of it. The entire reason I am still here is because there's a chance you misclick or fail to find. Ironically, Thalia might be like one of the less exciting options they could pick up. Thalia just like kind of has some trouble into spot removal if I happen to top deck something. Unfortunately, that is not spot removal that I've top decked. So finish up that league 3-2. We did go positive, which was nice. Some thoughts that I had over the course of the league. I really miss having Force of Negation. I think Force is like almost a necessity in any of these like low to the ground aggro-ish builds, because you get so blown out by stuff like the first copy of Kozilek's Command if you don't have an answer, or the first copy of just about any sort of removal spell. And since this list isn't running Counterspell itself, that really adds up. I think if I were to run back a Dimir list, it would be, or not a Dimir list, but a Shadow list in general, it would be minus like all the extra red stuff, probably the Battle Rages as well, unfortunately. I know people are going to call me sacrilegious for that one. Maybe minus the Preordains, and try to get like counter spells and forces back in here. So maybe like 4 counterspell, force, Tameo, just something to be more interactive. There were so many games there where I didn't see Thoughtseize or Stub or Consign and just found a bunch of shadows and Goyf, and that's great, but it doesn't keep you from dying, and Modern's a little too fast to be able to just like play threat into threat into threat, unless your threats are Ocelot Prides and Ajani's and Blages. So I do think there needs to be a little bit more going on to keep you up to speed with everything else. Sideboard, Pyroclasm was good. Stern Scolding was good. Dispute was fine. Consign is a great Magic card if you see them. But if you don't see them, it definitely hurts. What else? Surgical. Never brought in Grafdigger's Cage. Surgical. Not really a lot of great surgical matchups there. It's just kind of like value surgical against Tron. I don't think anything really changes about this archetype with Aether Drift coming up. So until the format dies down on like creature combo and go wide creature decks, Shadow's going to be in a bit of an awkward place. But who knows? Maybe the next set comes around after Aether Drift and Boros takes a bit of a hit and Shadow can kind of come back from the ashes metaphorically again.